Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and berries, welcome to Synergy Cafe, another day at Synergy Cafe, and I've got a special guest. This is kind of exciting because I met her at a I guess you call it like an art therapy thing. It was like one of those wine and art creation kind of thingies, and it was fun doing that kind of thing. And I say it's kind of an art therapy thing because she's a life coach, or more of an executive coach, you might call it. But she's in the spiritual realm of things, and that's why it's exciting to me because when you get connected with spirit, you're connected. So let me show a little quick graphic of what we got going on. Her name is Tess Vergara, right there. She's a soul-powered executive coach. If you want to learn more about it as we go along, you can go to her website at tessvergara.com. And she's in the green room right now having some of our digital hors d'oeuvres that are very local. I picked them out myself. So let's go find her in the green room. Where is she, Tess?
I'm
There
right
you are.
here. Hey, Brad.
How you doing?
Good. I'm feeling good. I'm doing great. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We got snow here in Minneapolis. You got snow up there in the north where you are?
Yeah, yeah, it's snowing. And I'm like, oh no.
Well, we didn't have
I'm,
them for
I'm
Christmas. It
kind of,
was kind of
I
weird.
like hibernating a little bit. And I also like being in nature. So it's a little bit of a shock at first I'm from the Philippines, tropical. So I still have that shock every year. Every year I still get a system shock. And then I go out there and enjoy nature.
You were born in the Philippines. When did you come to
Yep.
Minnesota?
I came to Minnesota in 1996. I was pregnant with my second child. So from the Philippines to Canada to the US.
What a trip. So, Canada, you got a little bit of a taste of the liquid sunshine, is what they call it in Jamaica.
Ah,
When it
ah,
rains. When it rains, they call it liquid sunshine. So, we'll call this
ah.
frozen sunshine.
I never heard that before. Pretty cool. Frozen sunshine.
I just made it up.
But pretty good because it can be. I lived in Vancouver for a few years, I think 3 years. Winnipeg for 7 years. So that was my preparation for Minnesota. Minnesota is not as bad compared to Winterpeg, I call it.
Winter
You
pet.
know, Winterpeg, below 40 temperatures. But then I went to Vancouver for 3 years and everything is wonderful after Winterpeg, right? But the sunshine in Winnipeg, glorious. Vancouver, gloomy, always raining and stuff. So,
Kind of like
but I
Seattle.
appreciate, yeah, definitely like Seattle.
Well, I've been almost to Canada. I've been across the river up there. I could probably throw a rock, but I never set foot in Canada. So,
Ha,
oh well,
yeah, yeah.
you'll get it. So let's talk a little about you. Here she is.
Okay,
The graphic there, right there. There's soul powered executive coach. Now,
yes.
soul powered, you're talking about getting to the core of things. That's what soul kind of means to me.
Yes, and soul, not intending to be overly religious here. Soul is the light of God, or if you think about it, is your highest nature. It's the you in spirit, pure spirit form. And then being soul powered is actually physicalizing that aspect, that highest, truest aspect of us, and really allowing it into our physical manifestation in our body, physicalizing it and fully expressing it in us. And that's my mission that has become clearer and clearer is to normalize topics that we are divine human beings. And how do we do that? And it starts with exploration. It starts with maybe it is true, kind of uh, leaning into the curiosity of it and then claiming it. And then the next step would be, wow, I'm ready. I'm ready to integrate this into my life. I'm ready to be the more that I've been longing for and it's been missing all through my life.
that's the kind of thing where you kind of lose yourself. And I'm an advocate of coaches. My wife is a coach. She was a
Mhm,
teacher at the University of Minnesota, and then for 30 years, and she got tired of that, went into coaching, and she's very good at it because she knows how to teach. I'm myself, I never liked school, so I'm kind of uncoachable. But the idea of having a coach, to me, the way I look at it is like when you're having your self talk, I'm talking about, I want to create something. I go back into
mhm,
what I know, and then I start
mhm.
talking to myself, and I don't get good new information. Whereas you kind of need a coach to call bullshit on some of the stuff you're doing. And what you're talking
Right.
about is getting to the heart of the matter, because
Mhm,
what I understand is when you're in the womb, you're kind of like new and fresh. And as soon as you start experiencing senses and things, you're starting to get programmed. And then when you're like about 10 years old, you got your personality in place.
mhm,
So
mhm,
you probably as an example, you do some stuff with like business type people, corporate or C-level executive
mm,
type folks.
mhm,
So they might be in a situation where for some reason their business isn't working, they can't figure it out,
mhm.
and all of a sudden they realize that, oh my God, the reason I am doing whatever I'm doing is because when my kid was just young, I yelled at him, and I've been kind of feeling bad about that, and I've never really apologized to him. And that's something that might be stuck in a person's
Yeah,
subconscious below the consciousness. And I'm
right,
assuming that's kind of what you can help someone with, is kind of ask the right questions to call them through all that stuff. They might be in some
right.
sort of denial.
I'll give you an example. This business owner who coached with me, and there's this stopping points in her growth in her business and personal life too. But because she's a business owner, usually our focus is on making sure our baby, our business, thrive. And she couldn't figure it out, and she's tried everything. And the biggest manifestation of that emotional baggage, if you will, that you're talking about, is in her weight, is in her appearance. So the more she tried to lose weight, the more she gained weight. And that's because of the imbalances that's in our system. And if you are just working on it by yourself, or doing this supplement or this weight loss coach, it's not addressing the entirety of you. And
Right.
that's where I differ with other coaches, executive coaches, business coaches, life coaches, is I take into consideration the wholeness, the entirety of our beingness. Because without, so pick um imagine this with me. You're sitting down and feel like there's four blocks, like four building blocks. And there's the physical aspect of you, and just feel into the physical. There's the emotional aspect. There's the mental and spiritual. And if those are not in alignment, and when they are fragmented or butting heads, because each of these four aspects wants the highest, our highest good. But if they're all over the place, fragmented, they're not talking and they're doing their own thing
Right.
for our highest good, but not in alignment. So, my role as a soul powered coach is to bring everything into alignment and integrate. So, my focus before I was a coach, I was an accountant. So, balancing and reconciling the four ledgers of life is what I
Oh yeah.
bring to the table. So now, and I call those the four pillars of life, so that we become that pillar of light and connect, bring heaven on earth. That's the whole and premise of why I'm doing this. But that's on a personal level. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So back to this client, there was a very traumatic incident that happened to her. She married an immigrant, and she developed this anxiety because they got separated. He had to go out of the country, get his visa, and they were separated for a long time. So he went into an adaptive behavior of waiting for the other shoe to fall, and that constant anxiety, and that became her reality for a very, very long time. So
Sure.
working with me, we unravel that so that she can actually breathe, and then she can actually trust herself again, because she completely lost trust in everything when when they had to separate. And it was a very scary and terrifying, and not knowing if his husband was ever going to return home. He was there for many years. He went and visited him for many years. And on top of that, she created a distraction of creating a business. So did she ever address those issues? No, kind of sweep it under the rug. So took her a long time to connect the cause and the triggers and how to heal it.
Yeah, again, I think that's why it's important to have I guess I'd almost call it a third party involved. You as a coach
Mhm.
being the third party, where
Mhm.
I'm here with myself and I'm kind of talking with myself. I can't really find that stuff out where someone from the outside can look in on it. And again, the
Mhm.
analogy kind of thing, like you mentioned the alignment. I remember hearing a story of a truck driver that had a sore neck, and the chiropractor couldn't figure out why it was until they realized it because when he's driving, he was sitting on his wallet, and his
Oh,
wallet
interesting. Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
shaking.
It creates an imbalance there. Yeah.
And it takes
Yeah,
some
that's a great
time.
metaphor.
The chiropractor probably didn't learn that in chiropractic college, had to kind of get that through a questioning process to figure it out. So that's why I
Mhm.
think it's important to have someone like Tess. So I think that's important to be able to, for a person like you to actually look at these situations and ask those questions. And I mean, how in the world could you expect to get to something like that when
Mhm.
it was you're working on her business? You want to talk about marketing funnels and email automation and all that, and you find out it's not even related to that. I mean, it is, but
No.
not the same. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. It's really this coping mechanisms, this defense mechanism, this protective mechanisms, survival mechanisms, all those we put in place in order to survive in the world, in order to gain acceptance, recognition, and all that. But it becomes so strong that they become our guiding force and leave our infinite potentialities. That's, that is your birthright too. The infinite potentialities that get blocked by all these protective mechanisms.
Hmm.
So we are set up to betray ourselves in order to create more for ourselves. Isn't that interesting? It's because it's not in the alignment, it's not in the highest alignment of our highest good. It has to go away, it has to crumble. But it's a very terrifying when it happens, as it happened to me. It's like pulling the rug from underneath your feet, and then like you lose control, you lose your mind, you try to overdo things to just regain control, and it's just a spiral out of control from there if you try to resolve it from the same mentality, from the same consciousness that created the problem.
Right.
And that's why coaches are needed. Not just coaches, therapists, healers, and any, or even priests, right? That's why people go to confession, because they can, it's such a release to have someone back you up and hear you and be witnessed in
Sure.
that way. And I feel like a priest sometimes as a coach, because people tell me their problem, and usually they cry within a few minutes of talking to me, because for the first time in their life, they feel heard and recognized. Oh my God, you get me. Thank you so much. And they cry because they haven't had that level of support in a very, very long time.
Well, it's something that might have happened at a very young age that has kind of grown, kind of accumulates.
Oh, Totally, totally. And anything can create trauma and create that distortion or imbalance inside of us. It's not even from just childhood. I'm learning that we are souls.
Oh, sure.
And we've picked up generational anxiety, generational trauma from our descent, from our relatives, from another uh ancestors. That's the word I'm trying to
Yeah.
look for. From our ancestors.
Sure. It ends
And
up
then
being
there's
almost a
the,
hereditary kind of situation.
yeah, and then during birth, while you're inside the tummy, if the mother experienced some trauma, it's also absorbed by the child inside the womb. Isn't
Sure.
that interesting? And also on a soul level, we carry our soul contracts. And is it still serving your highest good to maintain those soul contracts? So those are decisions that we need to be talking about. So it's not just survival and business strategies or career growth steps to climb the ladder of success. What are the stopping points? And usually it's invisible, and it's hidden, and it's all in the subconscious level.
Right. Yeah, and the value of something like what you do is it may affect one little thing, but it affects a lot of other elements of your life. Like in my situation, I had a thing that was traumatic when I was a kid, but when I look back on it, it's not that big a deal. And I had to go through some stuff to get to that core issue, so I could forgive my parents for being the alcoholic parents that
Mm-hmm.
they were, because
Mm-hmm.
they know not what they do. They were just going out for a drink. For me,
Yeah.
they were abandoning me and leaving me at home all by myself, and I was scared. So I had
Mm-hmm.
abandonment issues for a while, but that helped me for
Yeah.
a lot of other things, because that
Mm-hmm.
abandonment can happen in someone leaving a meeting early, or someone not showing up for a date, or a friend forgetting about your birthday. Those could all
Mm-hmm.
be
And
sort of little elements that came from just that situation where mom and dad want to go out and have a cocktail.
yeah, so what was your false core belief from which you saw life through that lens of perception?
It
I am
felt,
alone, or people leave me.
yes, it was an abandonment
People,
issue.
yeah,
Yeah.
people always
But
leave
all
me.
it was a little 10-year-old kid sitting by himself,
Yeah,
in the dark on a nighttime situation. And then
yeah.
what they did was they would reward me with a candy bar. So when I
Mm-hmm.
went to this therapy session, there was a situation where I was just craving chocolate so bad. And then when that's how we kind of came to this realization through this coaching process, to be able to
Yeah,
find it. I wouldn't have been able to
yeah,
figure that out on my own.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. I was in meditation when the first time I tried meditation. It was called, well, it is called centering prayer in the Catholic Christian world, but it's transcendental meditation in the Eastern world. It's the exact same thing. They just change a few terminologies. But anyway, and because in my religious upbringing, meditation is a work of an evil, right? So, so for me to go to a centering prayer was like, okay, there's, wow, it's a prayer, it's a circle. And so what happened was the facilitator said, close your eyes, take a breath, connect with the breath, and all that. I'm going to come back after 20 minutes. And oh my God, I panicked inside my own head. And I was like, I had to hold to the chair so that I don't bolt out the doors. Like, it was like, oh my God. So I'm like, breathe, breathe, breathe. I persevered through the 20 minutes. But the first thing I recalled after that experience was me stomping on the floor, like being a bratty kid, or just stomping because things were not coming uh my way,
Right.
and just my sense of frustration, and me going to the room and slamming the door. And I'm like, wow. that is a pattern that I've been holding on, from childhood, and I've been carrying all along. It's like, and so that was the start for me of, because see, I was my own coach. I went to a coach actually, to because I was in such hell that I went to a coach, but they were teaching me strategies um to become the best version of myself and do this and that, and I'm like, that's not what I need. I was a single mom for 15 years. I created my own destiny, and I was able to do that. But why am I unraveling? That
Right.
was my thing. So I went through coaching training to coach myself, and that was one of the things that I recognized I was doing, was this patterns that I was carrying since childhood, stomping my feet and walking out and try. And when it gets chaotic and dramatic, if there's drama, I'm gone. Goodbye. Yeah, I'm not gonna put up with this. And so I had to unravel all those patterns and make them come in alignment, so I don't keep sabotaging my results.
Sure. Well, Tess, we've gone for about 21 minutes here, and I try and keep these a little bit tight so people can have a time to digest them. Nothing long like a Joe Rogan podcast. So, is there something that you can share with us that might be on your website? Like, do you do any kind of like initial consultation to find out if you're in alignment with a prospective client?
Well, I'm going to share with you that there's a recording right now available of the workshop I did just last week, last
Okay.
Thursday. And it's my most powerful yet. It's power packed. And who's Tess Vergara, right? But if you actually go through that workshop, you can actually see what Brad and I were talking about. I shared about everything, how I discovered my patterns, and it's a beautiful process of really activating the inner power that turns your dreams into reality. One of my clients, I caught her into saying, well, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. I created an intention and it doesn't work. Well, then I pointed out to her where she was stopping herself along the process, her language pattern, her thinking pattern, her physiological patterns that all contribute to her getting in her own way. And so all of that you're gonna work through with me at the workshop. It's recorded, it's amazing. And that would be a great way for us to start a coaching relationship.
Fine.
And you can see how I'm different with other coaches out there, because I'm looking at it from an integration perspective, from a wholeness perspective, rather than fragmenting parts of yourself just to succeed at this, just to succeed at relationships, just to succeed in your weight uh, goals, or your goal to actually bring and deliver your 3-year growth plan in your business, in your career. So if we're talking about goal driven goals, sometimes we get in the way of our goals because we are fragmented, we are compartmentalized. So my message is we need to work on the whole entire being of us, bring in our soul power, and that's exactly what you're going to get from the workshop called Plan Your Radiant Plan Your 2024 Radiance, Unleash the Inner Power that turns dreams into reality. So I hope you take advantage of that, and it's in my website.
Perfect. Well, Tess, this has been good. I would like to do some more of these because there's a lot more to all this stuff as you unpeel the onion kind of thing. So I'm going to
Mhm.
pop into our little green room, and we do have some complimentary digital hors d'oeuvres that are locale. If you want to partake in some of that, if you want to stick around, we'll
Sure.
talk a little bit after I close the show out.
I
I
definitely do
appreciate
that.
you taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, our friend Tess. This stuff is always intriguing to me, and it's weird that I'm uncoachable. I guess I'm not uncoachable. That's probably my own self-talk telling me that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I've been self-employed all my life, so I think I know it all. So here's how to find out more about Tess right here. That's her website, tessvergara.com. So write that down or stop the video. You can kind of check that out. So appreciate y'all taking the time to be here on Synergy Cafe. Enjoy the day. Be good, be kind, be nice. Did I say be nice? Yes, I did. I said be nice. Peace. See ya.